Hello, my name is Karthik. Today I'm representing my team 24 of the presentation, a roadmap of agent research and development. Like today we are going to discuss about contract net protocol. The contract net protocol was created as a result of Davis and Smith's work. Agents can dynamically switch between two roles in a protocol like manager and contractor. It's an example when we take a task to complete, an agent first determines if it can divide it into two substacks, and that may be completed simultaneously. It can also be used as a contract net protocol to publish the tasks that could be translated and to stored basically by the bits. Not a node basis task. It responds with a bid for the task, including how well it defines it as a node. Moving to the next slide, introduction. Specialist and multi-specialist structure address a clever way to deal with an examination plan and execute of mind-confusing programming frameworks. The specialist-based point of view gives a strong arrangement of apricots, and the specialists are being utilized in a developing number of utilizations, going from somewhat basic frameworks like customization changes to enroll complex strategic frameworks like aviation authorities. Moving to the next slide, multi-specialist frameworks. While the multi-specialist frameworks modes above are absolutely arrange independent frameworks in a PC, we would like to believe them in the specialist sense. They come up short or meet their plan objectives by frameworks. Supportive of dynamic agents should not just respond to their environment factors. All things must be equal, they coordinate, and the step-by-step process of it. Social agents will actually want to associate with other computer-based intelligent frameworks and people of other ones. Sorts of layering horizontally. Each layer is statically connected to the static data and activity output. In impact, each layer goes about as a specialist, producing ideas for what move to make. Vertical slicing, like sensor data and activity result, are taken care of other somewhat of the layer each. Applications. The following are the few reasons which the multi-specific technique is used. They are modern applications, producing applications, broadcast applications. Here I conclude, like the area information is a fundamental part of framework, design determination, multi-functioning learning, calculations that are present, accessible, and ordinary equality basis. And they don't consider area ability. While they might be fitting the standardization plans, some plans, frameworks grade the specialists to utilize criticism, like productively using space skills in the planned period of atomic calculations is based on the availability of these calculations. And in expect to attempting to increase them past demonstrating scholarization issues. Next, my friend will continue with his slides.
Yeah, thank you, Karthik. Can you hear me right?
Yeah.
Team? Yeah, thank you, Karthik. Let's continue with the roadmap agent integration. So my slide starts with the cooperative multi-agent interaction. So this multi-agent interaction guided utilities collaboration approach to work on their aggregate execution. To give a strong methodology, specialist should have the option to see sub-objectives associated, to stay away, or to resolve the issues. And when coming for the global planning, so halfway global planning is an adaptable way to deal with coordination that permits the powerful organize themselves in a different results. The shared plan techniques depends on another outlook, meaning to accomplish something like expected that connects with the gathering cooperation or the teammate activities. The main idea is characterized by the bunch of bunch that encourages the partner. Uh, Karthik, can you go for the
Yeah,
next
yeah, I
slide?
got you.
So the next slide deals with the self-interested multi-agent interaction. So this self-interested multi-agent interaction deals with the it deals with the planning endeavors and settling the clashes. Each exchange been used as a representation for the importation plan adjustment and assigning the settlements limited to the half fee. So therefore, the idea of the specialist is basically pretty much poorly characterized as an arranging in the domain of work arrangements in the functioning of the instruments. So Rakesh, can you go for the next slide? The next slide deals with the agent applications. So we have couple of applications such as manufacturing, process control, telecommunication systems, traffic and transportation, management, information filtering, followed by few more agent-based applications uh, related to the multi-agent interaction. So the S systems are despite by the Prana utilities the contract net protocol to control the fabrication. Process regulations are independent responsive framework process the control in a characterized for the specialist. Telecommunication systems are massive disturbed networks of interconnected components that requires real-time monitoring and management. Agents are employed to represent both the aircraft as well as the various air traffic control systems in the use of this system which is currently undergoing the fields at the Sydney airport in Australia. As a result, this agent is assigned to each aircraft as it entered the Sydney airspace, and the agent is created with the information and goes to the real world air traffic. Because of this, geographically spread characters the subject of the traffic and transportation management in a particularly suitable to an agent based approach. In this way, we have two types of agents in the system. One who represents the clients who demands or can be provided transportation, and other who represents the situation where a customer can pick up. Karthik, can you go for the next slide? The next slide deals with the information management. So this information management, or in the absence of effective data, that border arrangement has been added to the suppose of data overburden issue. So we have two methods for protecting the issues of the data overload burden. One being the data separation, one being the data gathering. Data separation are continuously attract with the lot of materials on which just of little division of the importance are critical, whereas the data gathering cannot find the data to address the specific inquiries because of the gigantic volume of the information accessible. Karthik, can you go for the final slide, which relates to the future directions as well as the conclusion of the roadmap? In the previously mentioned frameworks or the principles way of the specialist based applications, they show that uh, the given answers will be the true issues specialist based framework and are valuable, and the strong arrangement innovation. Valuable programming deliverables is an idea of independent issue associate in the sorting ways to accomplish the individuals and the framework objectives. The overall conclusion of this roadmap includes with the independent specialist and the multi-specialist framework are a flourishing and equity deployment innovative workaround. The idea of independent specialist drawing in which each other for their individuals as well as the aggregate grade it as a best way to process the agent applications. The next slides will be continued with the Nida. which relates to the multi-agent engineering. Thank you.
Thank you, Pavan. I'm gonna talk about multi-agent learning for engineers. The engineer agenda focus on develop system which is meet predetermined performance standards. And the goal of multi-agent learning is to aid in the design of a complicated system with several agents. One of the main advantage of multi-agent learning is potential applicability as a design methodology for distributed controls, which is branch of control theory concerned with the design and analysis of multiple controllers that works together to meet certain design requirements. Next slide, please, Karthik. Thank you. Why multi-agent learning? Designing optimal distributed control system is notoriously difficult. And I'm gonna give you some example of complicated engineering problems. The first one is scheduling in manufacturing system, routing in data network, and command and control of network forces in hostile environments. Sending all data to a command center and that can be processed and disseminate comments, it's not practical. So if this is possible, the total system complexity would make developing centralized optimal policy impossible. And Nash stability displays optimally from the standpoint of each individual component, but it doesn't have to reflect optimal as a whole operation.
Next slide.
Next slide. Thank you. Descriptive and predictive or engineer. Study in multi-agent learning, which is maybe traced back to the literature of economic game theory. It's safe to assume that the purpose of literature is not provide a design approach for engineer systems. And a main reason for adopting multi-agent perspective is to reduce complexity. Imposing a multi-agent framework, the basic aspect of players, strategy spaces, and players' utility are all concerns of the design. I'm going to talk about Nash stability. In a stability process is necessary to achieve stability. The concept of Nash stability states that the desired solution can be described as a Nash stability, but only for a certain game, characterizing limiting behaviors of variable algorithms, identifying behavior converge to a Nash stability or any other desirable target set has received a lot of attention in the multi-agent learning community. The difficulty of locating and characterizing a Nash stability is another point of worth considering. Performance converges and average. If its Nash stability does reflect a desired operating condition, then learning approaches that guide behaviors toward stability is a viable idea. Another issue is the performance of describing as an average. Asymptotic and average measure are reflected in concepts like correlated stability and non-regnant and calibration. Average performance criterion should be used in situations that reflect steady state process. limited information and costly communication says about information information available to each agent is a critical concern in multi-agent system and multi-agent learning. One way to separate action-based from payoff-based learning algorithms is agents have access to the actions of other agents or only their own unique payoff. So here is a question. Do agents have any access to other agents' utility functions? The lack of such this utility information leads to uncoupled learning, which can have significant implications for the limiting behavior of certain type of learning dynamics. Learning dynamics and bounded rationality. There are many potential adoption techniques for multi-agent learning. Understanding how agents learn in games is important for descriptive social models, which is why most economic process demand is a small amount of real-time processing power. An agent engineered system are programmed components, so learning dynamic specification becomes another design decision.
Next slide.
Next slide, please. In the last slide, I'm going to talk about the engineering agenda. Robustness signifies the flexibility of a system to variations in natural parameters or expected input. Several aspects of robustness are expenses of some performance guarantees that would keep up even the most adverse conditions, or then another one is the ability to ensure performance against a set of criteria. And the last one is the dynamic scenario that which is transient disturbance are possible, and robustness is likely most crucial. And another thing is domain knowledge, which is an important part of system engineering decisions process, and multi-agent learning algorithms, which is now available, are often very simple and don't take domain knowledge into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Recording has stopped.
Think of